I believe it was almost 4 years ago that I first came across your work, and I remember there were about 3 couples, and we assembled in somebody's living room, and I had a mind-blowing experience of your work, and and then when you left, I kind of forgot about it, you know, because being in New York City, it's so easy to get distracted with so many things. But what happened to me was I accidentally started trying your work maybe 4 months later with a partner, and I was reminded of the miracle of your work, and I remember from that point forward, I realized that you were a person that I definitely wanted to learn from and make sure that the rest of the world knew about your work, because I just think it's that critical and that important. And not only that, it's the most effective work I've ever seen. It actually works. Where I want to start with in terms of asking about your work, and I do want to get very deep into your work, is its relationship in terms of helping couples create and sustain an ongoing ecstatic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, most couples, myself included, we enter into our first falling in love stage, and it's a wonderful period to go through. We wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And some of us fall over the abyss and fail disastrously with it, or some of us fall off a cliff and totally mess up the whole thing. Some of us go on to kind of get back into a reality stage, and we kind of settle for one another at our realistic stage versus the ecstatic stage that we first had for our partner. Or some of us kind of struggle and spend most of our relationship life trying to struggle. I'm just curious, how does your work relate to creating sustainable, ecstatic relationship for couples?
Okay, well, first I want to say my work is not for all couples, because I think that there are many different goals that couples might have together as couples, or let's say primary goals. If your primary goals are to raise children, then that might dictate, a certain types of ways of working together that that might not be what I would recommend to get the job done. And it's also true that the same couple, as they go through stages in their life, might find that at one stage they want one kind of a relationship, and as they're in a different stage of their life, they might want a different thing. So I want to say that my work is for a couple who wants a certain kind of experience from relationship. Okay, and what I offer couples is an experience where the potential for passion, for communication, for connection is feels like it's getting more and more alive, is growing over time. And with it, the turn on, the heat, the electricity when you touch your partner is growing over time. And I have to say it, but I think that's a lot easier said than done. That's very easily said, and it's a lot, and there's a lot of people that will sell you that, and but it's a lifetime practice to achieve, and that's what we teach people.
I see. You know, you're saying that, first of all, you're saying that it's for couples that would desire an ongoing and deeper communication and a deeper connection, but don't most couples desire that? I mean, isn't that the goal of most couples, to get together and to deepen their intimacy with one another, or is that something that only a few couples desire in their relationship?
Sure, everybody wants that, but it always comes at a price. So it's really, are you willing to pay the price? And I think when people see what it costs is when when the individuals often will either just say, "Oops, that's not for me," or they'll say, "Gee, I really want that, but I just can't pay that." And an analogy would be someone who is overweight and would like to be slim and just can't lose the weight. What would it take to really be on a path of going deeper with your partner? But would be, for example, being on a path of revealing who you are, of learning to become a witness to your emotions, learning to not buy into these feelings, but staying present with them, sharing them with your partner, doing the same for your partner, so that you're revealing more and more to each other. But the list goes on and on and on. It's a process that you both commit to the way you would a diet or a workout program, and it goes further from there, where you want to learn how to touch each other, where you build a life where that's a very central part of it, is that you become people that have differentiation in your lives so that you're not fused together, and you are skilled as lovers. You learn to navigate the transition from being hot, passionate, and different to being bonded and connected, and bringing variety into your sex life so that when you are bonded, you still have new and different.
Wow. So let's talk about variety for a second.
Great.
Is variety possible with, say, a couple that just choose to stay monogamous and find pleasure between themselves? Or does variety mean finding or bringing in other lovers into their relationship?
Well, I think variety is one of the key things that a couple who's monogamous really needs to learn in order to have a growing passion. Now, first of all, I want to say it's totally possible to have a sensual, beautiful, erotic connection that grows ever deeper over time. Here's the problem in a nutshell, going now from relationship into the love life. So just pointing out we're kind of shifting here. Well, here's the challenge. When two people first meet, there's this fabulous attraction because I'm very different from you and you're very different from me, and there's an animal attraction often because we're so different, and it's exciting to fuse and merge and to capture someone who's very different and discover and work out all these differences. It's exciting. As a couple works out some of these differences and sort of captures the object of their attraction, these differences tend to go away. They work things out. They become more like each other, and what you get is you get a couple that become more similar to each other. They become bonded. The differences go away. They tend to agree on everything. I know what you like, you know what I like. We agree on things, or we disagree, but it's settled, and the mystery goes away. And so it's flat. Well, now what do? So supposedly the excitement goes away. The friendship has come in, but the excitement has gone away. Well, this is where variety, it saves the day. Now, in a big way.
Wow.
What does variety do? Okay, well, variety is not just about going out and buying the Kama Sutra and following all the different positions. That is one form of variety, but there's only 22 positions, so yeah, I don't know, do the math. I mean, in a year, even that could get boring. But the reality is that there's an infinite amount of variety that we are capable of doing. There are different ways of breathing. These are the things, of course, that I teach in some of Expanded Orgasm. Let me just give one example of variety. Okay, there's an infinite amount of variety. I'll just give you one, but we could talk for a long time about variety. Just in the way you were to touch one area of my yoni, which is my vaginal area. It's the Indian term, the sacred tantric way. Just take my hand here. There is the physical variety. There are 5 fingers. Let's just take one finger. There's the pad of my finger or the tip. There's the whole length of my finger. There's the angle of my finger. There is the direction up and down. There are circles. There's ellipses. There's pressure. There's hard. There's fast. There's soft. There's pressure. There's speed. There's up. There's down. There's fast. There's slow. There's draggy. Okay, there's kind of a spongy, where you bring in your imagination, and that's before you even dress up as a French maid or the good Queen Glenda, or start playing all those wonderful things with your hand. I guess we wondered, but and that's just what things I've done with one finger. So imagine that I'm using all of my being and bringing in all of my imagination. I can start, and then I can, just begin adding variety everywhere. The brain is the largest sex organ of all, and when we know how to use our minds and hook them up to our hearts and our brain, our emotion, our bodies, and our spirits, we are unlimited, and we can actually learn. When we learn how to learn, and this is what we teach with all our work, we learn ever more how to be creative. We learn literally that we are a new person in every moment. Why are we new? Because we have new thoughts in every moment. Things happen to us today that are new. We've had new ideas. We have new feelings. We've had new thoughts. We've gone through things. We've grown. We've matured. So is our partner. We are new. And when we allow ourselves to feel, to integrate, to grow, and this work allows a lot of this to happen, we're growing at a rapid rate. And when our partner is growing, then we can come together, and we actually are different. We don't. It's not like we're just the person we met back in 1955 or last week. We're totally different human beings, and so it is possible that the lovemaking does get ever more passionate.
So I'd like to be clear. When you use the example of touching and different angles and different strokes and different parts, are we talking about each of those parts having an excitement aspect to it, or is it just the fact that it's different that makes it exciting? In other words, it seems to me that we could have variety, an infinite variety in things, with pretty much anything. I could instead of walking to the store one way, I could just take a roundabout way of walking in it. How does that bring in newness to my intimate or passionate feeling with my partner, if it's not necessarily say is interesting? Or you see, how does it, is it necessarily interesting or exciting or something
Yes.
that we just never
Yes.
discovered before?
Yes, well, I hear your question, and it's a brilliant question. You see, a lot of people, I'm sure, are asking that very question. And I'm sure they're saying, well, gee, I went out and bought a French maid costume, and that didn't do anything.
Right,
We went
exactly.
and turned on the TV, and that was that.
Exactly, exactly.
Right, because just changing the angle of your finger is not what we're talking about necessarily. It may be, I've had someone change the angle of their finger and send me into outer space. And, but just changing the changing the finger may not do a thing. So what are we talking about
Yes,
here?
exactly.
Okay, so let's step back a moment. I'm going to make a major distinction here between beingness and doingness, okay? So it's very important, it's all important when to understand that what I am teaching is about being on a path, okay? So, and it's a tantric path. And when we're on the path, we are lined up, we are aligned in our body, heart, mind, and spirit. Okay, and that's a very simple practice that I teach people, and it can be done as easily as taking in one deep breath and imagining that alignment between the heart and the mind. I'm not doing it right now, but I'm saying I teach it. We can go into it if you want. But it's a path of living in alignment. And what happens when we live in alignment is we're living in a place of wholeness. Now, in the everyday world that we live in, it's not the tantric world. In the everyday world where we have to pay our checks and get on the bus and go to work, we've broken everything down so that the body is in one category and the mind and the finger and the French maid outfit are in another category. And if you try and touch someone from that place, it'll feel like that. It isn't going to help, or it'll help once and then it'll be boring, right? You buy a new toy and it's good once and then that's boring, right? Because it's suffering, it just gets boring. What's exciting is when you feel the full power of someone's vibrancy and aliveness. So what happens is when you integrate the full power of the mind, body, heart, spirit, what happens is this. Can I stand up? Let me just illustrate. Is that you can drop a plumb line all the way down through your genitals, literally into the earth. And you can also send like a tuning fork all the way through, right up into heaven. Okay? And as that tuning fork goes up, it goes like up through you, and it brings in your imagination, all of your imagination, so that your imagination is real. So you are that French maid. So we are playing in the level of beingness. So literally, when I come to you as that lover, when you get together with me, it's like, whoa, anything is possible. If I say I'm gonna like bend my finger, you're like, holy cow. Oh my, no, not that. Oh my God, bend her finger. It's like, it could be huge, right? It's like, wow, because I gotta move heaven and earth and mountains and the sea and everything in the force of this movement, because I have that all inside of me, because I am aligned, because I am touching with all of that energy in every touch. And if I put on a French maid outfit, that's all inside my touch. And why? Because I'm aligned. It's about the beingness. Has nothing to do with anything else. And I know that. Okay? Because it's in here. It's in here. And when you know that, yeah, you change something a quarter of an inch, you change anything, and the world moves.
Wow. Wow. So
It is infinite, and you know that. You're all powerful. Isn't that, wouldn't you want to be that kind of a lover?
totally.
Sure, who wouldn't? And that's the amazing thing, you can be.
So it's about first connecting to the infinite
Yes.
and feeling that whole connection with your power
Right.
and
Connecting to the infinite, which is your
Wow.
infinite. You are the infinite. Connecting to the infinite, your infinite.